For decades, it was the final great barrier in all of athletics, a number so perfect, so audacious, that it felt more like a myth than a real goal. The 2-hour marathon. A lot of people thought it would never, ever be broken in an official race. But then it was. So let's break down exactly how this impossible feat was finally pulled off.
Okay, so picture this. The date is April 26, 2026. We're on the streets of London. The whole world is watching as a 31-year-old Kenyan runner, Sabastian Sawe, does something that was, for a long time, considered pure fantasy. He ran a marathon faster than any human being in history under official race conditions. And, this wasn't just a record. It was the start of a whole new era in human endurance.
1 hour, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds. Just let that number hang in the air for a second. A full 30 seconds under that mythical 2-hour mark. It's a time that completely rewrites what we all thought was possible. It just resets the entire definition of human potential. And here's why this is such a big deal. The 2-hour mark. It was never just a number on a stopwatch. It was a psychological monolith, a massive mental wall, just as imposing as the 4-minute mile used to be. So to break it, well, that was to shatter a collective belief we all had about the very limits of what a human body can do. All right, so that's the big question, right? How did this actually happen? What was the perfect storm of strategy, science, technology, and just pure human will that all came together on that one day in London to make this dream a reality? That's exactly what we're going to unpack.
But, to really get why this moment is so incredible, we have to rewind a bit. This didn't just happen overnight. This was the finish line of a century-long chase. We're talking about generations of athletes who slowly, and I mean painfully, chipped away at this record second by second.
Just look at this timeline. It's kind of wild when you see it all laid out. It took almost 40 years just to get from under 230 to under 215. But then, boom, the modern era hits and the speed of progress just takes off. You see these legends like Eliud Kipchoge and the late, great Kelvin Kiptum pushing the record to the absolute brink of 2 hours. They basically set the stage for Sawe to finally come along and smash right through it. So let's get into the anatomy of this thing. How was this masterpiece of a race actually built? Because a record like this isn't just about running fast, it's about running incredibly smart. It's a perfect mix of pacing, strategy, and some serious guts in the final stretch. Okay, now this right here is where the race was won. Just focus on those splits in the last third of the race. A 13:54 5K split after 30 kilometers is already unbelievable, but to follow that up with a 13:42, I mean, that is just on another planet. He was actually speeding up at the exact moment most marathoners are just praying they can hold on. So this shows you the core strategy. It's called a negative split, and it means you run the second half faster than the first. But this wasn't just any negative split. He ran the second half marathon in 59 minutes and 1 second. That's a world-class time all by itself, but he did it after already running a half marathon. No wonder commentators were calling it beautiful destruction. Looking at these numbers, you get it. Let's try to wrap our heads around just how fast this is. Sawe averaged over 21 kilometers per hour. That translates to a blistering pace of 2 minutes and 50 seconds per kilometer. For my friends in the US, that's a 4-minute, 33-second mile, and he did that 26 times, back to back. It's a level of sustained speed that's almost impossible to comprehend. I mean, that kind of late race surge just seems to fly in the face of everything we know about endurance. So you gotta wonder, right? What allows a human being to actually speed up that deep into a marathon? Well, beyond the incredible training and genetics, a huge part of the answer was on his feet. All right, say hello to the Adizero Adios Pro Evo 3. This isn't just a shoe, it's a piece of high-tech equipment. It weighs less than 100 grams, which is lighter than my phone. It's got this revolutionary foam for extreme cushioning and a carbon system that acts like a spring, giving back a reported 11% more energy with every step. This tech is an absolute game changer, helping an athlete stay efficient deep into a race, right when fatigue is supposed to be taking over. Well, look, technology is just a tool. At the end of the day, it's the athlete who does the work. And at the heart of this story is a truly extraordinary person. So let's talk about the man of the hour, Sabastian Sawe. Sawe's backstory is just incredible. We're talking pure old-school dedication.
He grew up in Kenya's running heartland, the son of a maize farmer. Running wasn't a sport, it was just how you got to school. And get this, his career pretty much kicked off when he accidentally entered a 5,000-meter race. And then won it. You can't make this stuff up. Today he lives a super disciplined life in a simple training camp, logging up to 150 miles every single week. It's a brutal routine that very few people on Earth could endure.
And you know who was one of the first people celebrating when the record fell? The legend himself, Eliud Kipchoge, the guy who first broke the barrier but in an unofficial event. You've probably heard his famous motto, "No human is limited." Well, Saki's official record was the ultimate proof. It showed the world this wasn't just some hopeful mantra, it was the new reality for the sport. So, the wall has been smashed. The barrier is gone. What happens now? What does this mean for the sport, for the athletes, and for what we all think is even possible anymore? Well, for Sabastian Sawe, life changed pretty much overnight. We're talking big money. Between the prize money, the record bonuses, and all the new sponsorship deals, his payday from this one race is estimated to be over $1 million. It just goes to show you how monumental and how marketable this achievement really is. And it wasn't just runners paying attention. This thing went global. You had world leaders, from Kenyan President William Ruto to the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, offering congratulations. The run became this huge moment of national pride for Kenya, and a reason for the whole world to celebrate. It's one of those amazing moments that reminds you how sport can bring literally everyone together. So, at the end of the day, we've just witnessed a fundamental limit get completely erased. A barrier that defined an entire sport for a century is just gone. And that leaves all of us with one big, exciting question. Now that this impossible has been conquered, what's the next frontier for human endurance? What's the next 2-hour marathon?